whilst we were going on track. And he himself said, please tell your staff that we are very grateful for the work they are doing. We are able to do our own projects, infrastructure projects, financed by the domestic resources, which is a milestone. And we are happy with that. And obviously the minister is happy with that. So in a nutshell, we appreciate your support and we want more of the support. Thank you.
The situation we were not able,
it's okay.
It was difficult.
It's okay.
For us to have this kind of in-person meetings. And I thought that, okay, with a little bit of easing of this COVID, I have to resume my mission, especially to Africa. And I picked up Gambia as my first destination because this country is really based on trade, very important, tourism as well. So customs role is very outstanding. So this is why I chose this country to start visiting again Africa. Our mission is borders divide, customs connect. And at borders, customs are there. And how they can ensure connectivity at borders is very important. And then Madam Chairperson has already referred to 3P because in entering Banjo I saw, okay, it's really progress, prosperity and peace. This is great. But we have also 3P in support of your vision. That is first political support and then partnership and people. So we are more on the ground, and this country really shows cases, those 3P, existence of 3Ps, because I pushed the Commissioner General. So what should I ask political leaders? He said nothing. It's,
You have no idea why he said nothing. Because if you ask something, I'll also ask for something. He didn't want anything. He said, don't start it.
Also in terms of partnership, we try to get partnership with business. Custom business partnership is important. And also we try to get partnership from custom point of view, other government agencies, which is going fine in this country, and also development community. And to prepare for capacity building. So in that sense, this country is also a good model for many countries in West and Central Africa. And the final part of people, Commissioner General has already said about his experience in the WCO. So he is one of my proud product of WCO. And whenever sometimes political dispute arise, then I count on him. He's not afraid of standing up in front of 184 members to say, this is what I think, and we have to be concentrate on our custom business. So bring back the discussion to core customs business away from political world discussion. And in the end, when we really needed someone to conclude the council session, he stood up and he sat next to me and he chaired the conclusion of remember me, I'm the fellowship participant, I'm the professional associate participant, I'm the, another program, scholarship program. So there are many people who got experience from the WCO, and through that network, necessary network with other customer administrations and our staff, so that they can continue to get more knowledge and more practices, best practices from around the world. So this is why I would like to say that this country used very wisely the WCO. That I appreciate because we are ready, but we need a country that has absorption capacity, willingness, and people's readiness, and this is where I see this country is great. I also congratulate that has absorption capacity very, very. This is where I see this country is great. So, well, congratulate that has absorption.
We're aware of your very tight schedule, but the fact that you have chosen Gambia to be destination number one, we are grateful on behalf of His Excellency the President, the people, and the government of the Republic. It's great. GRA, we've been very tough on GRA, but if you see us informally, you would think that we are the best of friends. But if you see us officially, it is a very hot atmosphere. For one simple reason, both of us, we have a vision very clear. We want to really make sure that we meet the expectations of the people. Being the fact that GRA is the lifeline, whatever we do, if today we have changed the way government was doing business in terms of funding our projects from local funds, that has never happened here. You're talking about mega projects. If you see now this city, if you were here a couple of years ago, there were a lot of potholes. Now you can see how it is, and it's all from local funds. If you go up provinces, a lot of things are happening. But I think one good news is you're talking about capacity building. But I always emphasize, I said, let's do the three-pillar approach. Capacity building, capacity retention, and capacity harmonization. In addition to that, I am so happy that the World Customs Organization is taking the lead. It should be borderless when we talk about digitalization. But most importantly, especially for us at the regional level, the policy harmonization. We want to make sure whatever you've seen at the neighborhood, it is the same thing that you will also find here. We have moved fast just because of we did not have the required resources. By now, GRA would have been somewhere else. But the patience to also help, because we cannot, as a small country, afford to make mistakes. What I want to see, we have a new vision being developed for 2050. But I also want to see there, statistically, I always say that we have moved a long way in terms of our GDP revenue ratio. We have climbed up way faster than even what we thought. But the GDP is also growing. As you're moving fast, thinking that you're about to catch up with the 15% revenue ratio to GDP, the GDP, we have a responsibility there as a government, because most of these international projects that we negotiate, in the absence of GRA, and sometimes even in the absence of ministry, we always put so many incentives there, and that undermines. So if in real terms that we were calculating what the GRA would be collecting, believe me, you can go up to 20%. That much I know. Now, what we have now resorted to, we have a committee. Within a short time, the leakage is going down, and we hope it will go further down. But one thing I want to encourage you to continue to do, capacity building in a fast-changing environment. Things change so fast that we have to adapt. It is through your network, it is through your knowledge bank that we can tap. Very smart CG, that when he sees any opportunity to tap, and he is a very strong firm believer like me in capacity building. But I say we go beyond that. What can we do for our staff? The quality of staff at GRA we had the tax award ceremony, and the president has now publicly declared that it will be part of his calendar. So all good taxpayers now will be expecting to shake hands with the president annually and also take pictures. But I think for me it goes beyond that. It's about whether you're a Gambian or not, but the responsibility to pay that tax is important. That when you pay that tax and you're complying, the reward is enormous. It's not about that recognition, but you know that whatever you are doing is to make this place, I mean, wherever you are, a better place for all of us to live. Because those taxes are the taxes that will be invested in the health sector, in education, roads, electricity, all of those things. So the benefits are numerous. For you to come in and partner with us, he is always talking about World Customs Union. And I know your input and the spirit of South-South cooperation that you have also promoted within that community is helpful. We are a model, and we are more than happy to share our knowledge. I think the generosity I know of our GRA with their intellectual capital, they are so generous that they are always willing. He's now chairing Water. And they've just gone through a tour. And I know that it's not only about the Republic of the Gambia, but the approach to issues. How you can approach issues through innovation. It's not everything that is black and white, you have to be hard. No, you can collect taxes and you can go up, but it doesn't have to be the harsh way. We have gone through a very difficult period recently with the pandemic. And the way we were able to still, people were surprised, collect what we are supposed to collect, because we know the competing demands are there, the request for the drugs, the request for food items, because you have pre and post pandemic people that were at the poverty level line. After the pandemic, they went all the way down. So as government, we have a responsibility to provide certain basic necessities in terms of education, in terms of health. This is one country in the region that you can still have that free medical facilities, that kids can still go to school without being subjected to those high tuition. So the impact really, I always use the word octopussy, because that money that you're collecting on behalf of the government, and for us at our level, we mobilize, and we also have a very difficult job to do in terms of allocation. Competing demands are every day. So at the end, what happened? A lot of pressure on them. But the good news is that the capacity building and the digitalization, I believe, this can make a big difference. And we would like to thank you on behalf of the people and the government of the Gambia. And I hope this will not be the first or the last. We want you to come again, not officially, but as a tourist. Okay, that is one thing that we would like to do. But what I have seen is the family, the union that you have established between yourself and the Director General. I will make sure that the diplomatic path that he has on in terms of the dispute resolution, I will inform the president that we have one person in the country that we didn't know he is so good at arbitration that we will recognize. Most of the time, we said that prophets are never honored at home. It is only when you go outside, and what you have said today, really is, you made us be very, very proud that we have somebody who championed justice, who championed fairness. And really, you have made my day. Thank you very much, and we hope we will see you again ASAP. Thank you.
Visits to the administration of GRA, and as well as they want to also see our political leaders. We had a briefing at the office of Commissioner General GRA in the morning. From there, we took them to the office of the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, and we had a meeting with the Minister and his staffs. And finally, here we are at the office of the Vice President of the Gambia. His visit is a family visit, as he call it. The Gambia belongs to a group of countries that are associating themselves with WCO. And within the WCO, it is over 180 countries. But we've been put into blocks, and we belong to West and Central Africa bloc. And every other blocks, we all meet annually at the head office in Belgium. Every year, between around June, July, we have an annual meeting. But in between, each block, we will have several meetings. And whatever discussions we do when we meet at the General Assembly, around June, July, then he takes care of the chairperson, and then we discuss our problems and whatever assistance that the WCO secretariat have for us. In the Gambia, we are very grateful to them simply because we have been receiving a lot of capacity building over the years. They give us a lot of support, ranging from fellowship programs. Fellowship programs are mainly programs that look at the various countries' young potential, young officers who they think in the next couple of years will be the leaders of their countries. And this is organized every year. In 2010, they opened one, and then we all applied, all member countries applied, and I happened to be one of the candidates selected in the Gambia to be a fellow. And they gave me a scholarship. I was in Belgium for several months. From there, they took me to Japan, where I stayed also for some time. And all that, they were trying to train us to become future leaders. I never have in my mind, never thought of one day I'll become the CG at the time, you know. But, you know, as they always said, that is the intention of the program. They call it a fellowship program to tap young ones in various member countries, train them, prepare them for the future. So I was one of the products of the fellowship way back in 2010. And from there, WCO has been helping Gambia in respect to the capacity building with various areas, like the areas of PCA in particular, which has just happened a week ago. They just sent us an expert to come and do training on post-clearance audit. In layman's language, is like an audit for customs transactions. So they have sent somebody to come and help us. And apart from that, in the areas of risk management, in the areas of HR development and preparing some very key documents for the institution, they have been doing that over the years. And just last year or so, they also supported a program called Time Release Studies. And that is to really look at our ports area. When the goods arrive, how long do they take for them to go out of the port? And there you have to conduct a study, talking to the shipping agencies, talking to the clearing agencies, looking at the whole process, and then come up with recommendations. That study was done sometimes last year, and this was also through their support. So in brief, there are a lot of things that really they have given us, and he is the brain behind all that. So he thought that it is important as a family to come over and see us as administration, not only talking to us, but to come physically. And as I said earlier also, not only stopping at the level of GRA, but he knows that we work with government, and we need the political support for us to do our work accordingly. And without the political support, we cannot do our work properly. And that is why he thought that apart from seeing us as administration, we have our own discussions, technical discussions. Beyond that, he needs to see the you people and the politicians of the country, so that he will exchange few words with you. This is why we are here today, Madam Vice President, and Secretary General. This is our Vice President.
The President's Office staff, Permanent Secretary, and GRA staff, my Vice Chair, and the media, of course. We are really delighted to be here, Your Excellency. As CG has explained, this is a courtesy call for most of us, and also to share the sentiments of developing Gambia. And we appreciate the fact that the government recognized GRA as a, would I say it as a bloodline for development of the Gambia. And we always do our best to try and meet that expectation. As the Minister of Finance said, they always put very high targets because, and CG always says that government has an elastic stomach. The more you collect, the more they want. So we are caught in between, but nevertheless, we always try our best. And as the Secretary General has mentioned before, was that they support capacity building. And that is where we believe we can make a difference. If we have a staff which is committed, a board that is committed, together we can do our best to be able to deliver the expectations. And I always tell this, our CG and my colleagues that GRA is on a de facto performance contract because the target is set and they have to meet it. And when they meet it, they get bonus. We haven't experienced not meeting the target, and we don't want to know the consequences of that. So we are always striving our best to make sure we meet the target and we don't disappoint the government. So we are very glad to be here, and as usual, we count on your support, and especially non-interference in the work of GRA, because it can be sometimes very, very challenging, and we always get support from your office, from the President's office, and we really appreciate, and obviously from the Ministry of Finance, we really appreciate. So we continue to count on your support, and we appreciate this visit. Thank you very much.
The Commissioner General has explained WCO, it's a customs family of 184 members, so virtually covering all the customs administration in the world. And we are a custom family, so we came to see you with family. So this is why we are very numerous people coming. And as was explained, it is very important that customs administrations discharge their mission of ensuring connectivity, because we believe borders divide, customs connects. And to ensure connectivity, we develop international standards, and which this country implements very well. And we recommend the use of technology, which also this country is moving to another system as circular world, which is good. And we also recommend making more training to people so that they can really have the capacity to implement international standards and using technology. And with that, we believe that trust between customs and governments and other government agencies, and especially the private sector, is being ensured. And well, Madam Lucy said about how important customs and business work together. And we also recommend custom business partnership. And customs should set their mindset that their ultimate goal is to support business, the private sector, for the prosperity. And on the other hand, business should be able to change their mindset, how they can comply with regulations and why it is important to do that. And from that point of view, CG collect a lot of money, but then it is spent wisely. That I saw infrastructure very recently, quickly addressed. So that gives trust and support from people to pay tax and duties. So this is a very important point. And whenever I visit countries, usually they ask for capacity building. So I always say that first I need political support in this country, which I clearly see in this country. And also partnership is important. Customer is not operating alone, but they need to develop partnership with other customs, other government agencies, private sector, and the development community, because usually development community looks at that and they are confident with that. And finally, people is very important. And so Mr. Yankuba is one of our model that he joined the WCO for the fellowship program and became CG. And when I visited the GRA this morning, I saw many known faces that they came to WCO for training. And our training is not only for customers' knowledge, but the leadership and the management skill. And this is very well demonstrated. Mr. Yankuba has always at the council session, he's not shy about raising the voice. This is what is needed from Africa, and also please concentrate on customer matter whenever discussion goes to political area. And once he stood up and also chaired the council session to a successful conclusion. So I would like to see another Yankuba in the younger generation. And also another important contribution is Mr. Denton sitting far end. He was elected as chair of Finance Committee. It is very important. Finance is the key. So this is another contribution from your country to the global customs community, so that governance is there. And I really applaud the governance in the sense that not only individual customs officers, but structure-wise it is good. And also I recognize that because we are promoting gender equality and diversity in customs, I'm very happy to see first Madam Lucy as chair of board, and then you yourself as in a week time, we'll do a big event to in March the 8th is International Women's Day. Yes. So establishing a network of gender equality and diversity in customs. And I can quote how this country is doing well in promoting gender equality, and that will benefit not only women but men as well, to have a more balanced life-work balance, and with that more motivation comes. So in essence, Madam Vice President, I really appreciate your strong support that motivate our customs family, not only here but around the world, because I'm communicating this meeting. And I hope that we can continue to support Gambia, but also in a bigger context of Western Central Africa, because your CG is also an opinion leader in that region, but also global Africa-wide, because African Continental Free Trade Area, that Secretariat looks on WCO for really not only capacity building, but more regional integration, that is customs role. So we work with them, and of course globally. So thank you very much for this meeting, and I look forward to working continuously.
You have given yourself as a good example, and therefore you are able to perform and deliver. So we place premium on building capacity, because the Gambia needs it to move forward. We all know where we are coming from. Institutions were weak. Institutions did not have the opportunity to build themselves, and the right profiles were not in the right positions. Now, since the advent of this republic and the democracy that is in, things have changed, and they are changing for the better, and your institution is one of the institutions that we are very proud of.
Thank you.
Generating resources that are necessary, we give you targets through the Ministry of Finance, and indeed, he is very appreciative of the effort, and indeed, anytime it comes, we said, can they bring in more? But it's because of the commitment, the conviction, and the fact that we have lacuna here and there. That is not your fault, but because of the way the system is designed and the type of technology that was existing, maybe there are certain weaknesses that are not there. So the introduction of Asikuda Wall, I'm following everything.
Yes, thank you.
And the capacity building of your staff.
Thank you.
And also the commitment and conviction that this is our country. You have demonstrated that. And that is why the president is very confident about the future of the country and can say we are going to fund this project from the taxpayers' money, because you can do it and you've done it.
Yeah.
And I urge you to continue to do so. This is what we need, given the current political economy all over the world. We have to be looking inwards and looking at efficiency, effectiveness, transparency, and dedication and commitment to what we want to do in order to move our countries forward. And you have given us that hope, and we are going to continue to do so. I urge you, the chief of WCO, to look at Gambia. I say we are very proud that he is being an emerging world leader, and to let him remain here and give us the support, and also mentor the young ones to come, because the trajectory is very positive and very good, so that the Gambia as an emerging democracy and the whole world is watching us. We need people, we need our intellectuals, we need our skilled people, but they need the exposure to continue to give that exposure to him and his team, and also to ensure that resources can be, so he could be supported at any time in order, because they are delivering and the answers we are seeing. So when such things happen, you have to give some motivational support and guidance to what is going on, and I believe this is what the Gambia needs right now. We need to move forward. We are ready to engage, and like you said, we have been following all your standards and the international standards. Now the world is a global village, and management is no longer a silos approach, but rather an integrated international best practices and standards that are laid down, and the Gambia cannot be left behind. We are ready for that, and we are ready to engage, and we have already we have hope in our leaders. Like you have said, he had the opportunity to go to very prestigious training programs, exposure. He has taken leadership, and we have seen what he has been doing. And I happen to be the then Minister for Trade, Regional Integration and Industry and Employment, and I have worked with him, and I know what he brought. He has brought in gender equality and equity. He was the first person to have prepared a paper. When I called him and said, look, you have to take gender into consideration and start looking at that, he said, I'm coming. He came, we discussed, and he went, he prepared a concept paper and started training. Yes. And gendering the system with gender representation, and even the policies that are coming out are all there. So we are working towards a very positive trajectory, and with a very gender responsive, gender inclusive approach, but we are yet to arrive there. Yes. We need more women and men to be able to engage, even at the lowest rung, so that we breed them up and bring them up to come to a stage where they can equally perform like their male counterpart who had the privilege and opportunity. He has started doing that, and I'm so with the chair being there, and of course being a leader, seeing what he is doing. We are very proud of you as a leader, because behind every institution you need to have importantly, they are very great leaders who are thinkers, and he has acknowledged that, and I want to appreciate you for that, to continue. You are an asset coming from the World Bank. You know all it takes to do it. So I know that's an added premium to what is happening. And you can be rest assured of our support, and we are appealing that you open the doors for new technologies that are going to be context specific in some way, adapted to the situation, and build up the institutions, strengthen them, and then move it to where we want it. And you can be rest assured, very progressive thinking is going around the GRA. The whole country is talking about that. Those who understand what development is all about and knowing where we come from and the great progress, the leap in correcting this thing. Maybe to also talk to the public about the need to cooperate. Sometimes it's not about bleeding you, it's about being honest and declaring what is there for you to pay the taxes so that this country will move. That makes life easy for us and move the country forward. And I'm sure the Gambia is poised for that, and we will continue with our able customs officers and senior officers that are here across the country. We learn from the challenges that are being experienced across. We are emerging from a new place and we are building the new architecture. So that new architecture requires commitment, conviction, and experiences that you have to bring in to make a big difference in this country. On that note, I want to say we are very, very appreciative of the effort, and that it is one of the champion institutions that is always being brought to the forefront, and we are able to do what we are able to do because of that. And I urge you to continue the leadership, quality, exemplary leadership between you and your board, understanding with you and your board and the public and the human face that you want to bring in, and you have brought in, and we all experience it in this country, in the new Gambia and the new democracy we are going to put it, so that we have an effective, efficient and successful project that is going to be something of pride for us as Gambians and for everybody. I thank you all for this.
Tell us what exactly is the purpose of this visit, and how does that, resonate to your work, and how important is it to the GRA and country?
Thank you very much for that question. I think it's very important. The Secretary General is the head of the World Customs Organization, and the organization consists of membership of about 180 countries, and he has decided to choose Gambia because of the good performance that we are doing and because of our active participations within the organization, ranging from capacity building and other helps that he has been giving to the Gambia. And you all know that the past 2-3 years was very, very, very difficult for the customs administrations all over the world because of the pandemic. So now that the pandemic is going down, the Secretary General have decided to start a tour, and starting from the Gambia to see how we are doing, how we are coping with the pandemic, and how we are also managing the human resources within the institution.
Okay. Well, how exactly does this help? Is it an issue of efficiency or transforming the institution's work like digitally, or is it an issue of compliance in the first place?
It ranges depending on where you take it from. First, the system itself that we are using to collect revenue. As you know that we are revenue authorities, not only customs, but customs as well as domestic taxes. He has been following the developments within the Gambia as far as the revenue authority is concerned, and he knows that we are moving our systems from Asikuda Plus to Asikuda World, which is web-based, and it is more friendly to use than what the current system that we are using. Equally, we are moving from the GAMTaxNet to the iTax, which is also web-based and is more friendly to use than the other system. And all these things, once they are completed, they will help us in terms of fast transactions taking place, as well as quickly getting the data whenever it is needed. And he knows how important these systems are. And in addition to that, for the first time in the history of WCO, we have a Gambian who is the current chairperson or chairman of the finance committee of WCO. And equally, he is also the chairperson or chairman of the West and Central Africa Committee of WCO, and that is Alhaji Sehu Denton. Denton happens to be my director of finance and accounting. And these are very good developments that it's the first time it's happening, and I am sure the Secretary General is very pleased with that. A small country like Gambia getting a double chairmanship for West and Central Africa, as well as the WCO itself, the chairman of the finance committee. It is a very big, as I said earlier, about 184 countries. So he has been following us in terms of what other things myself I am doing. He knows that I am the current chairperson of the WATAF, you know, and I have been trying very hard to see that the WATAF members also come together and achieve their objective. Just to mention also, he has been following my progress, because way back in 2010, I happened to have a fellowship program to go and study in Belgium, Brussels, for a period of time, and then from there they took me from Belgium, sent me to Japan to go also there to stay for some time to have some studies in terms of leadership. And then I was very young, way back in 2010. Well, maybe he knew that one day I was going to be this Commissioner General. I never thought of that in my life, but he has personally followed my progress. And couple of all the progress we are making within the GRA since we took over the leadership. He has been reading, he has been following, and a lot of my staffs are as well going to WCO for training. He has been offering us a scholarship many times, and he has been sending people here, experts here, to train our staff. Just last week, we have an expert who came here to train us on the PCE, we call it Post Clearance Audit training that just concluded last week. And a lot of other things are happening that he personally has been the one pushing that for Gambia to get. So that is why he came. It's like an assessment. He just came to see how we are doing, and not only hearing, reading, but to see things by himself. And maybe also to see our political leaders, because it's always important to have this political leadership support, political will. They call it political will. And as far as we are concerned, yeah, we have the political will. From the our Minister of Finance to the Vice President, as well as the President of the Republic. They have all given us support. Anytime we knock at their door, the doors are open, they're giving us support. And this is why we are doing what we are doing. We are doing very well in terms of our core mandate, which is revenue collection. We are doing that, and I'm sure I don't need to mention how much money we've collected last year, 12.7 billion. And then again, we are giving another assignment of 13.5 billion. And inshallah, we'll try to do our utmost best to make sure that we provide that for the government.
CG, where much is expected, both the VP and the SG have praised you. What are the secrets behind your resounding success at WCO?
Well, one thing I believe in is working together as a team. I am the leader of GRA, but I am not the one who is doing everything. I make sure that I recruit staffs that have the capacity, that are expert in their own field. If you look at my staff components currently, I have over 141 staff that are graduate, that have their first degree. I have over 50 master's holders. I employed over 12 ACCA holders. I have dozens of staffs that have very good qualification in IT. So collectively, the secret behind my success is a collective work. I make sure that I open my doors for capacity building, and I am a very good team player. You know, when you are a leader, it's good to be a team player. You bring capacities together and make sure that you work with them. You supervise them. And this is why we are what we are. This is why we have the success. I believe in training young people, give them opportunity, and also making sure that they work. And I make sure that the top management of GRA, we are together to take up the leadership, and then the others follow. And that is what brings us the success of GRA.
So you mentioned the issue of visiting the political leaders, and of course today you did that. So how is this going to help in boosting your work with the WCO?
It's going to help us a lot, because when I said that we have the support of the leadership, maybe because I know that and my management, but then to someone who comes from Belgium, the Secretary General, he is overseeing over 180 countries. So, and there are different administrative ways in some of those countries. Every country is different from another country. So he has come here, he spoke to me, and I told him that in the Gambia we have the political will. But then it's important to hear from the horse's mouth. We went to Minister of Finance, he spoke, you heard it, and he heard what the minister said about our relationship. We came to the Vice President, and the Vice President spoke, and he heard what the Vice President said. And that is exactly what I told him before we came, that we have the political support in the Gambia as far as our work is concerned. And we have no interference from any politician. They're giving us, the only contract we have between GRA and government is the target. When it is coming to target setting through Minister of Finance, they give us high target. But once we agreed on that, now it is our responsibility to make sure that I work with my management to make sure that we achieve that target. So this is how we work with government. But on a day-to-day management, day-to-day operation, government has nothing to tell us, or they don't interfere in how we recruit our staffs, how we do whatever we do in our collection, in our work. No way. They don't interfere at all. No minister interferes in our work. Our work is given to you. Our core mandate is to make sure that we collect the taxes, and we collect this with human face. I mentioned that. We are doing the collection with human face. In that, what I mean, we work with people, the business community. We make sure that we work with them in such a way that they will end up paying their taxes, but they will not cry. And that is what I mean. We do our work with a human face.
Thank you.
Yes, currently the world is looking at Africa as the future potential for, in terms of economic development, market, etc. So now I'm working closely with the African Union and African Union Continental Free Trade Area. But I need a kind of showcase that what other countries should do, because our aim is to provide capacity building, but giving inspiration to other countries, that because other countries are looking at benchmarking, what are the good models, and therefore this is why I picked up Gambia as my first visit after pandemic, 2 years almost. I couldn't come to Africa. So this is important, and for that I want to make sure that there is really good political support, and which I can testify, and also I would like to make sure that there is a good partnership with business, because customs should support business, and talking to the chair and vice chair of board, they represent the private sector, and I could see that that is there, and also I would like to see how people, especially young people, are well trained, and because in the end what you need is implementing international standards, using technology, and getting professionalism and integrity. And so this is what I would like to ensure, that in GRA I can see a model, and I would be able to showcase Gambia. And this is why I really wanted to come to this country. But of course, personally, I know him for quite a long time, and he has been a high flyer. Even we organize many fellowship programs and other programs. And this is not only for customs technique, but more on leadership and management. And of course, I could spot him, and so I was very happy that he was able to, well, to become the CG. So this is another success story for us, that our capacity building got the real result. And this is another message that I would like to propose to the world. So this is why I'm very happy to be here in Gambia.
After meeting our political leaders.
Well, political leaders very well understand what customs is. Well, revenue collection, you get efficient revenue collection, but to get support of paying tax, you need to see how well the collected money is spent. The spending is necessary. And I could actually see how infrastructure is being built and arranged, so this is great. And both Vice President and Minister of Finance very well understand that, government should keep transparency and showing that they are serving people. And that creates a good compliance environment that people are ready to comply with the regulations, to pay tax, custom duties, but also in terms of facilitating trade. You need this kind of custom business partnership. And also increasingly security is important, and for security customs can play a big role at the borders, and this is also being done by GRA, and our political leaders very well understand that point. So now I'm really confident that Gambia can further develop, and we can showcase Gambia as a good example.
Thank you so much. Thank you.